far beyond Earth's atmosphere, drifting silently through the void. An alien ship hovered in the cold blackness of space. From this distant vantage point, the observer, an ancient being with large, expressive eyes, peered down at the planet below. Earth was alive with noise and chaos, a world bursting at the seams with energy and conflict. The alien's gaze settled on a scene unlike any it had witnessed before. It was a spectacle of overwhelming force and relentless activity. A world consumed by what humans called progress. But to the alien, it looked dangerously like overkill. Below, cities burned with unnatural light. Massive machines roamed the land like metal beasts, and weapons unleashed power so vast it shook the very ground. The alien's eyes reflected a mix of curiosity and disbelief. How could one species wield such unimaginable technology with such reckless abandon? The scene was both fascinating and terrifying. Humans had pushed the limits of power far beyond reason, and yet their world still stood, scarred, trembling, but alive. The alien remembered the countless civilizations it had observed over millennia, some gentle, some brutal, some wise. None, however, had displayed such a volatile blend of creativity and destruction. It was as if humans danced on a razor's edge, their brilliance matched only by their capacity for devastation. The alien wondered if this fiery spirit was the cause of their survival or the herald of their doom. From orbit, the alien's vision focused on a sprawling industrial complex, a city turned fortress. Towers of steel stretched toward the sky, belching smoke and fire, their lights flickering like stars in a toxic night. Giant machines rumbled through the streets, some designed for construction, others clearly built for war. Their size was staggering. Vehicles larger than mountains, armed with weapons that glowed with lethal energy. The alien's mind struggled to comprehend the scale. Amid the chaos, the alien detected the faint pulse of human life, the desperate hope and fierce determination that kept them moving forward despite the destruction. There were no signs of surrender. Instead, humans adapted, evolved, and innovated. They took what the planet offered and reshaped it with their will, their hands turning nature into metal and fire. The alien sensed a restless hunger in humanity, a hunger for control, for dominance, for survival at any cost. Yet with every flash of destructive power came a question: at what price? The alien's heart, if it possessed one, would have ached at the sight of burned forests, polluted skies, and poisoned waters. The earth beneath the machines groaned, a wounded creature bearing the scars of humanity's excess. The alien saw not just technology, but a reckless gamble, a gamble that risked everything for fleeting victory. Still, the alien watched silently, unable to turn away. There was a story unfolding on Earth, a story of raw power and fragile hope intertwined. The human's overkill was a language, a message screamed into the void, challenging the cosmos to witness their existence. It was a declaration that they would not be ignored, that they could wield the forces of creation and destruction with equal fervor. As night fell over Earth's battered surface, the alien's eyes lingered on a solitary figure standing amid ruins, a woman clutching a small child, her face etched with fear and determination. She looked up at the sky, unaware of the silent watcher far above. In that moment, the alien understood something profound. Humanity's story was not just about weapons and machines. It was about spirit, about survival against impossible odds, about the desperate, beautiful struggle to endure. The alien exhaled silently, a flicker of respect mingling with concern. The scene below was both a warning and a promise, a reminder that the greatest power humans possessed was not in their machines or weapons, but in their will to keep fighting, no matter the cost. From this distant vantage point, the alien could only watch and wonder. How long would this overkill last? And what would come after? In the vast silence of space, Earth's chaos shone like a beacon, a wild, untamed flame flickering in the darkness. The alien turned its gaze away reluctantly, knowing this was only the beginning of a story far greater than any it had witnessed before. The watcher's eyes held a question that echoed across the stars. Can such overwhelming power be mastered, or will it consume the very soul of humanity? The answer remained hidden, waiting to be revealed in the unfolding chapters of a world where overkill was not just a choice, but a way of life. The alien's gaze tightened as it focused closer on Earth's surface. The sprawling cities, once shimmering with promise, had transformed into sprawling fortresses of steel and fire. Factories belched thick smoke, cloaking the skies in a haze that dimmed the sun's warmth. Roads throbbed with the endless march of massive machines, some designed for construction, others weapons of unimaginable power. The alien's mind struggled to grasp the scale of human ambition and destruction intertwined in every corner of the planet. This was not a war fought on a battlefield alone. It was a war on nature itself. Forests lay razed, replaced by labyrinths of concrete and metal. Rivers ran dark and thick with pollution, their currents struggling to carry the scars left by human greed. The alien's eyes lingered on giant factories, pumping relentless clouds into the sky, a toxic fog that slowly choked life from the world below. It was overkill in its purest form, unchecked power wielded without mercy or hesitation. Amid this devastation, humans moved with a frantic energy that was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Armies equipped with towering exoskeletons marched through shattered landscapes. Robots patrolled with cold precision, their metal limbs crushing anything in their path. Explosions lit the horizon like fireworks, each one a brutal reminder of the stakes at play. The alien felt a chill at the sight. This was a species that had harnessed destruction on a scale few could imagine. But the alien also sensed something more beneath the surface, a deep, unyielding will. Humans were not simply machines of war. They were survivors clinging to hope in a world that threatened to consume them. In underground bunkers, families huddled together, whispering stories of better days. Scientists worked feverishly to develop technology that could heal rather than harm. Activists risked everything to protect the last fragments of the natural world. The alien recognized the paradox. Humanity's overkill was matched by an equally fierce desire to preserve what remained. The alien's vision shifted to a command center buzzing with tension. Leaders argued over the deployment of a new weapon, a device so powerful it could erase entire regions in moments. The room was thick with anxiety and determination. The alien watched as human faces twisted between hope and fear. This was a species at a crossroads, grappling with the consequences of their own overkill. The alien wondered how close they were to tipping the balance from survival to annihilation. In the midst of this turmoil, the alien observed moments of quiet courage. A young soldier shielded a fallen comrade from a hail of gunfire. An old woman tended a hidden garden, coaxing life from barren soil. Children played amidst ruins, their laughter a fragile thread of normalcy. These scenes gave the alien pause. Humanity was more than its machines and weapons. It was the spirit behind the struggle, the stubborn refusal to surrender even when the odds seemed impossible. Yet the alien could not ignore the cost. Earth's wounds were deep and raw. Mountains had been hollowed out for resources. Oceans had become graveyards for plastic and oil. The air carried a heavy weight, thick with poisons that sickened both land and sky. The alien's heart, if such a thing existed, ached at the sight. Overkill was a gamble, and the planet was paying the price. Still, humans pushed forward, driven by a complex mix of hope, fear, and ambition. The aliens sensed an almost desperate urgency, a race not only against enemies, but against time itself. Each invention, each battle, seemed to carry the weight of an uncertain future. The alien wondered, could this species learn to control the overwhelming power they had unleashed? Or would their overkill be the spark that ignited their destruction? As darkness fell over the landscape, the aliens' gaze rested on a small group gathered around a flickering campfire. They spoke in hushed tones of peace and change, dreams fragile but alive. In that moment, the aliens saw a flicker of something new, perhaps the first glimmer of hope in a world defined by excess. It was a reminder that even in the deepest shadow, light could find a way. The alien exhaled softly, the vast silence of space echoing the weight of what it had seen. Humanity's story was one of extremes, of creation and destruction, hope and despair. Their overkill was a language of survival, a fierce declaration to the universe that they would not fade quietly. The alien turned away slowly, knowing that Earth's fate was still unwritten, balanced precariously on the edge of a knife. From the cold distance of the cosmos, the watcher held onto a quiet hope that humanity might find the wisdom to master their own power before it was too late. The story was far from over, and the alien would be watching. The alien's gaze sharpened as it zoomed in on a towering fortress on Earth's scarred surface. This was no ordinary stronghold. It was a command center pulsing with tense energy. Inside, human leaders gathered around glowing holograms, debating a weapon so vast in its destructive potential that even the alien's ancient mind struggled to comprehend it. The room crackled with anxiety, decisions hanging in the balance like a storm waiting to break. The weapon in question was unlike anything the alien had ever seen, a device capable of wiping out entire regions in a single blast, leaving nothing but silence in its wake. As arguments flew back and forth, the alien observed the human faces, eyes hard with determination, voices laced with fear and resolve. They were at the edge of madness, balancing on the knife's edge between survival and annihilation. The question hung heavy in the air. Was this ultimate overkill their salvation, or the final step toward their destruction? Outside the command center, the alien saw the vast military machine in motion. Armored vehicles rumbled across devastated landscapes, their tracks carving deep scars into the earth. Soldiers moved with grim purpose, their faces etched with fatigue and something deeper, an unspoken fear of what their own weapons might unleash. Above them, drones hovered silently, ready to strike at a moment's notice, eyes cold and unfeeling. The alien's ancient mind tried to piece together the human logic. The power they wielded was staggering, but it came at a terrible cost. Every new weapon meant more destruction, more scars on the planet, and yet the cycle seemed unbreakable. The alien wondered if humanity had lost sight of a line between defense and devastation. How far could they push before there was nothing left to protect? Amid the chaos, the alien caught glimpses of resistance, not just from enemies, but from within. Some humans questioned the relentless march of destruction. Quiet voices called for restraint, for peace, for a return to balance with the world they had shattered. Yet these voices struggled to be heard over the thunder of machines and the roar of explosions. The aliens sensed a fracture in the human spirit, a battle not only between factions, but between hope and despair. In one small corner of the fortress, a group of scientists worked tirelessly. Their faces were weary, marked by sleepless nights and endless worry. They had created the weapon, yes, but now they sought ways to limit its use, to find alternatives that might spare their world from total ruin. The alien felt a flicker of respect for their courage, the courage to imagine a different path amid overwhelming pressure. Outside, the aliens' vision drifted to a battlefield where steel clashed with steel, and the sky burned with fire and smoke. Soldiers fought not just for victory, but for survival, caught in a nightmare of their own making. The alien's heart ached as it watched a young soldier fall, a single life snuffed out in the storm of overkill. It was a stark reminder that behind every explosion, every strategic move, lay human lives, fragile, fleeting, irreplaceable. The alien's eyes turned upward toward the endless sky, searching for answers in the stars. Had other civilizations faced this choice? Had they survived the temptation to unleash ultimate destruction? The silence of space offered no comfort, only the weight of unknown futures. As the battle raged below, the alien sensed a critical moment approaching. The decision to use the weapon could change everything. It was a crossroads where one choice could tip the scales toward salvation or doom. The tension was palpable, a fragile thread holding the fate of millions. In the depths of that command center, a lone voice finally spoke, calm, measured, pleading for reason. It was a call to remember what was at stake, not just power, but humanity itself. The alien listened intently, sensing a spark of hope flickering against the overwhelming darkness. The alien exhaled slowly, the vast emptiness of space reflecting the weight of what it had witnessed. Humanity's overkill was no longer just a spectacle of power. It was a test of their soul. The story unfolding was raw, unpredictable, and deeply human. The alien could only watch and wait, knowing that the outcome would echo across the cosmos for generations to come. In the silence that followed, Earth continued to spin, a fragile, battered world holding its breath, caught between the promise of survival and the peril of self-destruction. The alien's eyes lingered a moment longer, then slowly withdrew, carrying with them the memory of a species on the brink, their story far from over. Amidst the relentless clamor of war and destruction, the alien's gaze shifted to a quieter scene, one that stood in stark contrast to the chaos surrounding it. In the heart of a ruined city, beneath a sky thick with smoke, a small group of humans clung to life and hope. Their faces were worn and tired, etched with sorrow and determination, but their spirits burned brightly. The alien watched as a mother shielded her child from the biting cold and distant explosions, her eyes fierce with protective love. It was a moment stripped of grandeur, yet filled with profound humanity. This quiet resilience puzzled the alien. Here were beings capable of wielding weapons of unimaginable power, yet they chose, again and again, to protect what was fragile and vulnerable. The alien realized that behind the machines of war lay a deep, aching heart, a heart that beat not for conquest, but for survival, for love, for something far greater than destruction. In a nearby shelter, an elderly man tended to a small garden. Among the rubble, he coaxed life from the cracked earth, planting seeds with hands trembling from age, but steady in purpose. To the alien, this act of nurturing was as powerful as any weapon. It was a silent rebellion against the devastation, a quiet promise that life could endure even in the darkest times. The alien sensed a profound wisdom in this simple act, a lesson in balance that many had forgotten amid the rush for power. Elsewhere, a doctor worked tirelessly, her face streaked with dirt and sweat. She moved among the wounded with gentle care, stitching flesh and calming frightened voices. Her compassion was a stark counterpoint to the violence raging outside. The alien watched her pause for a moment, closing her eyes as if drawing strength from somewhere beyond the physical world. This woman embodied the very essence of humanity's struggle, a struggle not just to survive, but to preserve dignity and hope in the face of overwhelming odds. Children played amidst the ruins, their laughter fragile yet defiant. The aliens' eyes lingered on them, curious and moved. These young lives, untouched by the machinery of war, held the promise of a future that seemed so uncertain. The alien wondered how such innocence could persist amid so much destruction. It was a question without an easy answer, a reminder that even in the midst of overkill, life continued stubbornly, desperately, beautifully. The alien's thoughts turned inward. It had witnessed countless civilizations, seen their rise and fall. Few had possessed the contradictory nature of humanity, the capacity for both boundless destruction and boundless love. The alien understood that this duality was the key to their survival. The weapons could destroy cities, but love and hope could rebuild them. Yet the alien could not ignore the fragility of this balance. Each act of kindness, each moment of care, stood precariously against a tide of violence and ruin. The scars on the planet told a story of excess, a story of overkill that threatened to drown out the softer, quieter voices. The alien wondered if these voices would be strong enough to guide humanity away from the brink. In the distance, the sound of explosions faded into the night, replaced by the softer rhythms of life enduring. The alien's gaze drifted back to the stars, pondering the paradox of a species so capable of destruction, yet so desperately holding on to hope. It was a story not just of war, but of the human spirit, complex, flawed, and undeniably powerful. As the alien watched, a small flame flickered in the darkness, a campfire around which survivors gathered. They spoke softly of dreams and futures, of peace and renewal. Their voices, though faint, carried a message of resilience that echoed across the void. The alien felt a quiet respect for these fragile moments, moments that could shape the fate of a world teetering on the edge. The alien exhaled into the vast silence of space, its eyes reflecting the enduring struggle below. This was more than a battle of weapons. It was a battle for the soul of humanity. The story was far from over, and the alien would remain a silent witness, watching as humans fought not just for survival, but for the chance to reclaim their world and their future. The alien's gaze drifted from the quiet moments of humanity's resilience to the sprawling wastelands that stretched beyond the ruins. Here, the evidence of overkill was undeniable. Endless fields of scorched earth, shattered machines, and lifeless forests told a story of excess, a story where the cost of power had been paid in blood and broken dreams. The alien's eyes, large and reflective, took in the devastation with a mixture of sorrow and curiosity. How had a species so full of promise come to such a precipice? Amid the desolation, the alien noticed a group of survivors moving cautiously. They were scavengers, navigating the ruins with wary eyes and weathered faces. Their clothes were torn, their hands calloused from hard labor, but their eyes held a spark, a stubborn determination to live. They gathered what they could from wreckage. Scraps of technology, seeds from forgotten gardens, remnants of a world that once was. To the alien, they seemed like ghosts clinging to the edges of existence. Yet their will to carry on was unmistakable. The alien followed their journey as they made their way toward a hidden refuge. It was a cavern carved into the side of a mountain, shielded from the storms and destruction above. Inside, the survivors had built a fragile community, a place where hope was nurtured alongside survival. The alien saw children learning from elders, stories being told, skills passed down like precious treasures. This was not just survival. It was a reclamation of humanity's lost legacy. Yet the alien could sense the constant tension beneath this fragile peace. Outside, the threat of war and destruction lingered like a dark cloud. Supplies were scarce, and every trip into the wasteland was a gamble with death. The survivors knew their world was broken, but they also knew that giving up was not an option. The alien admired their resilience, but worried about how long it could last in a world so unforgiving. Back on the surface, the aliens' attention turned to the ongoing conflict between human factions. Battles erupted with brutal intensity, driven by desperation and fear. The aliens saw warriors equipped with advanced weapons, their movements precise but weary. The lines between friend and foe blurred, alliances formed and shattered in moments. It was a chaotic dance of survival, where the cost of each victory was measured in lives lost and land destroyed. Amid the carnage, the alien noticed moments of unexpected mercy. A soldier lowering his weapon to help a wounded enemy. A commander ordering a ceasefire to protect civilians caught in the crossfire. These acts of humanity shone like brief sparks in the dark, reminders that even in war, compassion could survive. The alien understood that this was the true struggle between the instinct to destroy and the hope to heal. The alien's gaze then drifted to the skies, where drones and ships moved with relentless purpose. The battle extended beyond the ground, reaching into the atmosphere and even space itself. Satellites blinked out of service, communication lines flickered, and the aliens sensed the growing danger of a conflict spiraling beyond control. The technology that had once promised connection and progress was now a weapon of isolation and destruction. But even in this bleak picture, the aliens saw signs of innovation. Engineers worked tirelessly to develop new technologies, not for war, but for restoration. Machines designed to clean poison water, drones programmed to plant trees, devices that could repair damaged ecosystems. These efforts were small, fragile attempts to reverse the damage wrought by overkill. The alien felt a cautious hope that humanity might yet find balance. As night fell, the alien's eyes lingered on a lone figure standing at the edge of a cliff, gazing out over the shattered land. The figure's silhouette was strong, yet weary, an emblem of the human spirit's defiance. The alien sensed a silent vow in that stance, a promise to fight for a future beyond destruction, to rebuild from the ashes. The alien exhaled softly, the weight of the cosmos pressing gently against its thoughts. Humanity's overkill was a story of extremes, a story of destruction and resilience, despair and hope. From its distant perch, the alien would continue to watch, bearing witness to a species striving to master its own power before it consumed them all. The future remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: the human story was far from over. The alien's vision sharpened on a new horizon, a vast expanse where humanity's struggle for survival had entered a critical phase. The scorched lands gave way to fragile patches of green, stubborn life pushing through the scars of overkill. It was a testament to resilience, but also a reminder that the planet itself was fighting back. The alien saw storms brewing on the horizon, violent tempests fueled by years of environmental abuse, hurricanes tearing through shattered cities, floods swallowing once thriving communities. The planet's fury was a reflection of humanity's own recklessness. In the midst of this chaos, the alien observed a coalition of humans gathering, scientists, leaders, and survivors, coming together in an unprecedented alliance. They met not in grand halls or fortified bunkers, but in a ruined auditorium, its walls scarred by past violence, but filled with a renewed sense of purpose. Here, the aliens saw the flicker of something rare, hope forged through cooperation. The discussions were intense. Heated debates over how to rebuild, how to undo the damage, how to avoid the mistakes that had brought them to this brink. The aliens sensed the weight of responsibility pressing down on these leaders. They spoke of peace, restoration, and balance, words that had once seemed impossible amid the roar of war. Yet now, those words carried the urgency of survival. Outside, the world remained harsh and unforgiving. The alien watched teams of engineers and volunteers venturing into dangerous zones to restore damaged ecosystems. They planted trees, filtered water, and cleared debris with a determination that defied exhaustion. The alien admired their grit, their willingness to face overwhelming odds in pursuit of a fragile dream. But the alien also sensed the ghosts of old conflicts lingering. Not all factions were ready to embrace peace. Some clung to the remnants of power, fearing that cooperation meant weakness. Skirmishes flared, sabotage threatened progress, and distrust lingered like a shadow over every effort. The alien knew this struggle would not be won easily. Amid the tension, a remarkable figure emerged, a young leader whose vision inspired many. She spoke of unity and forgiveness, of learning from the past without being chained to it. Her words ignited a spark in those who listened, weaving hope through the fractured fabric of humanity. The alien watched her face, marked by both determination and compassion, and saw in her the potential to guide her people toward a new future. The alien's attention shifted to the skies once more. The satellites and drones, once tools of war, were now repurposed. They monitored climate changes, mapped rebuilding efforts, and connected scattered communities. Technology, once a weapon of destruction, was becoming a tool for healing. The alien marveled at this transformation, a testament to human adaptability and ingenuity. Yet, the scars on the planet were deep, and time was a luxury they did not have. The alien saw melting ice caps, dying coral reefs, and shrinking forests, all reminders of the price of overkill. It was a race against nature itself, and the stakes could not be higher. In quiet moments, the alien's gaze returned to the small acts of kindness that defined humanity's spirit. Children learning to read in makeshift schools, families sharing meals in dimly lit shelters, communities coming together to celebrate small victories. These were the threads that wove a fragile tapestry of hope. The alien exhaled softly, feeling the weight of the story unfolding below. Humanity stood at a crossroads, a species burdened by its own excess, but buoyed by an indomitable will to survive and heal. The alien knew the path ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, but it also held a quiet belief that humanity's greatest power lay not in their weapons, but in their capacity to change. As Earth spun silently beneath the stars, the alien's eyes remained fixed on the fragile green patches emerging from the ruins. It was a reminder that even after the darkest nights, dawn could come. The story of human overkill was not just a tale of destruction. It was a story of hope, redemption, and the enduring struggle to rise above. The alien's gaze lingered on Earth, where the fragile threads of recovery wove an uncertain tapestry. The scars of overkill remained visible, deep, raw wounds etched across continents. Yet, amid the rubble, life stirred with a stubborn resolve. The alien watched as communities emerged from the shadows of war, forging new paths with cautious hope. But beneath this fragile optimism, tension simmered. Old fears, old grudges, threatening to unravel everything. In a quiet valley, a settlement thrived against the odds. Its people had turned ruins into gardens and desolation into home. The alien observed children running through fields of wildflowers, their laughter echoing like a promise. Elders shared stories of the past, teaching lessons carved from hardship. This place was a testament to humanity's resilience, a beacon amid the darkness. Yet even here, the alien sensed the invisible weight of history pressing down, the memory of overkill that still haunted minds and hearts. Far beyond, in a council chamber carved from stone and steel, leaders debated the next steps. The alien saw a heated exchange, voices rising as old wounds reopened. Some argued for swift retribution against those who had fueled the destruction, while others pleaded for mercy and unity. The alien understood this turmoil. It was the painful process of healing a fractured world. But it also recognized the danger. If bitterness won, the cycle of overkill could reignite, consuming all progress. Outside the council, a lone figure walked silently through the streets. She was the young leader who had inspired hope before, her eyes now shadowed with the weight of responsibility. The alien followed her steps as she visited survivors, listening to stories of loss and courage. She carried their pain with quiet strength, knowing the future depended on her ability to bridge divides. In her presence, the alien glimpsed a rare blend of vulnerability and resolve, the true essence of leadership in a world scarred by overkill. As night fell, the alien's attention shifted to the stars. Satellites glowed faintly, their signals carrying messages of peace and reconstruction. Drones hummed softly overhead, planting seeds and monitoring fragile ecosystems. Technology, once a symbol of humanity's capacity for destruction, was now being reclaimed as a tool for renewal. The alien marveled at this transformation, a species learning to wield its power with care. Yet, the planet itself remained restless. Storms battered coastlines, and earthquakes shook fragile settlements. The alien felt Earth's pain, an ancient world struggling to heal from wounds inflicted by its own inhabitants. It was a harsh reminder that overkill left consequences far beyond human control. The alien wondered if humanity could truly mend the damage, or if their own recklessness would be their undoing. In the quiet moments between chaos, the alien observed acts of compassion that defied despair. A doctor traveled miles to tend to the sick. A teacher risked everything to educate children in hidden schools. Families shared scarce resources, weaving bonds that strengthened communities. These small acts were threads of light in a dark world, fragile but vital. The alien exhaled, its thoughts heavy yet hopeful. Humanity's story was a complex dance between destruction and creation, fear and courage, despair and hope. Overkill had brought them to the brink, but it had also forced them to confront their deepest truths. The alien knew the path ahead was uncertain, fraught with challenges that could either destroy or define them. From its distant vantage point, the alien watched Earth turn slowly beneath the stars. The planet bore the marks of excess, but also the first signs of renewal. The story of humanity's overkill was far from over. It was an unfinished chapter, full of peril and promise. And as the alien's eyes glimmered with quiet resolve, it understood one thing clearly. Sometimes the greatest battles were not fought with weapons, but within the hearts of those who dared to hope. The alien watched as dawn broke over a world still fragile, yet undeniably alive. The horizon glowed with a soft light, painting the scars of overkill in shades of gold and amber. It was a new day on Earth, a day that held promise and uncertainty in equal measure. From its distant vantage point, the alien felt a deep stillness settle over the planet, as if the world itself was holding its breath, waiting to see which path humanity would choose. The alien's eyes focused on a gathering in a rebuilt city square. People from different walks of life had come together: farmers, engineers, artists, soldiers, and children. Their faces, marked by hardship, shone with determination. They were united by a common purpose: to rebuild, to heal, and to forge a future beyond the shadow of overkill. The alien sensed something rare and powerful in this unity, a fragile hope born from the ashes of destruction. In the center of the crowd, the young leader who had inspired so many stood tall. Her voice, clear and steady, carried across the square as she spoke of forgiveness and renewal. She reminded them that overkill had nearly destroyed their world, but it had also revealed the strength of their spirit. The alien admired her courage, Not just the courage to lead, but the courage to ask for peace in a world still bruised by conflict. The crowd listened, some with tears, others with quiet nods. They understood that rebuilding would not be easy. The aliens saw their struggles ahead, repairing ecosystems, mending fractured communities, and confronting the shadows of their past. But it also saw their determination to face these challenges head-on, refusing to let fear or bitterness dictate their future. Beyond the square, the alien observed the wider world, responding to this call for renewal. Nations once at war began exchanging knowledge and resources. Scientists shared discoveries openly, collaborating on technologies to restore the planet. Communities worked side by side, planting forests where cities had fallen, cleaning waters poisoned by past excesses. The alien marveled at the collective while rising from ruins, a testament to humanity's capacity to change. Yet, the alien was not blind to the lingering dangers. Some factions resisted, clinging to old grudges and old weapons. The temptation of power still whispered in dark corners. The alien knew that vigilance was necessary, that peace was not a given, but a constant struggle. But it also believed in the power of the human heart, the power to choose a different path. In quiet moments, the alien reflected on what it had witnessed, a species capable of terrifying destruction, yet equally capable of profound compassion. Overkill had shown humanity's darkest side, but it had also revealed their brightest. The alien understood that this duality was the essence of the human story, messy, imperfect, but endlessly fascinating. As the sun climbed higher, the alien's gaze turned skyward. Satellites and drones moved gracefully, no longer instruments of war, but guardians of a fragile peace. Technology hummed softly, aiding the planet's recovery and connecting distant communities. It was a sign that humanity could wield its power wisely, if only they chose to. The alien exhaled slowly, its vast eyes reflecting the light of a hopeful world. The tale of human overkill was no longer just a story of destruction. It was a story of survival, redemption, and the enduring struggle to rise above. From its place among the stars, the alien would continue to watch, not as a judge, but as a witness to the unending journey of a species learning to master itself. Earth turned beneath the vast cosmos, fragile but alive, scarred but healing. The future was uncertain, yet filled with possibility. And in that moment, the alien believed that humanity's greatest victory would not be the power to destroy, but the courage to rebuild.